I
Hello
guess.
everyone. Are you going to introduce our players for us today, Boisterous?
I'll go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner from Team Berserker, we have BSK Sanhet as the pinkish Protoss, and up here in the top right-hand corner we have You Mad Cause You Bad, spawning for Crafty Gaming as the purple Zerg.
Yeah.
So Cadoink, I understand you love this map.
Oh
Do you
man,
have any comments on it?
it's great. I usually don't like maps that have a lot of really thin alleyways and corridors, kind of like kind of like how Daybreak does, have these kind of thin areas. I like maps that have a lot of open areas, but this map I feel like does the narrow thing properly, does it really correctly, and just allows for great positioning, great battles to be going on, these sort of things, and it just makes the map fun, having all these nice little areas to run around and scout around and move probes and hide probes and pylons and, you know, Zerg players spreading their creep different areas, taking different bases. I think it's a great map.
And it's always slightly overpowered for Terran.
I don't know if that's true, because it is like DRG's best map and he is a Zerg player.
I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, and so...
However, DRG is kind of an exception.
He is, but I kind of feel like since he's one of the best Zerg players in the world right now, that he kind of...
He's doing it right and everybody else is doing it wrong.
Exactly, and actually I win a lot of my Terran vs. Zerg games on this map, so... I don't know, I don't know if it's Terran favored. I win a lot, but that doesn't mean it's Terran favored.
I actually think the latter edition might be Terran favored.
Yeah.
Because Cadoink usually plays the tournament edition, where it's only, what, 1 gas and 6 mineral patches at the center base?
You know, that doesn't make that much of a difference, to be honest. In tournament play, it might make a difference, but on the ladder, often a lot of players won't even get to take that base, to be honest. In fact, the first person to probably take that base will actually be a Zerg player. Actually putting the game kind of in his favor because it has the extra mineral patches. So on the ladder, I don't really see that as being Terran favored. Maybe in the like Master League and higher up, but I don't really make it to that base too often.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering why a Zerg player wasn't taking his natural, and I kind of derped out and didn't notice that the Protoss player just put a pylon down there. And the Protoss player is also Forge Fast expanding. However, I think he made a bit of a blunder with his wall position, unless he's going to put a cannon there, maybe? I don't think he can, though.
No, he's putting down a gateway at this time, and he'll probably continue the wall over around the pylon so that the pylon can't be sniped. And I'm mad because You Bad is doing the proper thing. He's just going ahead and taking his third. That GSL Daybreak is one of the easiest maps to take a third on like that. And so he'll just pick up this pylon with the Zerglings and then put down his natural, and he'll have 3 bases. He'll be looking good.
Yeah, the only really major downside for him right now is that he's second base is going to be much slower than his Protoss opponent.
Yeah.
It's going to be like almost 40 seconds behind, I would say, at this point.
Yeah.
The second pylon is going down in this wall off, and I still think that this was definitely a bit of a blunder. I swear to God, if he rallies a Zealot into that tiny little choke and he doesn't notice it, I'm going to laugh so hard.
Actually, yeah, he might be able to fit it in between the pylon and the cannon, which is a blunder. The other thing I want to mention about taking this third that is kind of annoying is it makes it harder to transfer a queen down to that base. A lot of times the Zerg player can build 2 queens before his natural's finished and then transfer one of them over to the natural and then start spawning larvae immediately. But in the case of taking this third, it does kind of put you behind in your larva injects because you're going to have to build a queen there or run a queen down a very, very long path.
Indeed. And it actually looks like You Mad Because You Bad is kind of getting a bad start off with this larva inject. The queen is already almost at like 20 energy, and she just did an inject, so
yeah,
not exactly the highest level of Zerg play right there, but I mean, he's probably either a platinum or a diamond player, or he's basically almost always going to be either a platinum or a diamond player.
Yeah.
So it's acceptable.
I do like the wall now. He did manage to get a Zealot in there, and another Zealot will be able to make sure nothing gets through, as a Zergling can fit through that when there's only 1 Zealot, but 2 will fix that just fine. So the wall's going to end up being okay, none of the Zealots getting stuck. Also like that he's chrono boosting out that warp gate, because when you Forge Fast expand, your warp gate is a little bit later than normal, and so putting chrono boost down on that is definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that you do make that Chrono Boost up because you have the second Nexus. So really, that's just one of the advantages of doing the Forge Fast Expand is that you get more Chrono Boost energy to kind of spend however much you like.
Yeah. I also like how he's sending a Zealot across the map, trying to take this watchtower. Something players don't do enough, making sure they're getting the watchtower, and also allows you to pick off a few pesky Zerglings that could poke in and get some information. Now if I'm mad because you bad wants to poke into the front and see anything, has to send a Zergling around, and the Zealot could spot it, try to pick it off. Just very little things like that make a big difference in StarCraft 2, and so I like that players are thinking about these little things.
And it looks like Madden might be going for a DRG style. He went for a very fast 3 bases. How many drones does he have? All right, he has a bit. He's a bit on the low side for drones to start producing it yet. And is that a Dark Shrine?
It is a
I
Dark
think that's
Shrine.
a Dark Shrine.
You know what? When you're behind Dark Shrine, or Dark Shrine all the time, whatever you want to do, and it looks like our player for Berserker is going to be Dark Shrining, getting up some DTs that are going to be pretty effective. There's no layer on the map at this time. Actually, a layer is going up, so I kind of take that back.
Yeah, I don't think these DTs will be able to break it across the map unless there's a proxy pylon down. And I'm not sure how effective they'll be. Of course, their effectiveness is basically completely based on whether or not Mad decides to build an Overseer as soon as that layer finishes, or if he wants to, hold off and save up some gas to do something else with it.
Yeah.
But personally, I prefer to just build an Overseer every time, no matter what.
Yeah.
It would appear that he's going for the mass roach style at this point. Still very low on drones, I feel. He only has 58 for 3 bases.
That is pretty low. But not every player is DRG, and DRG can get away with a lot because he's such an incredible player. So we can't bash Mad too hard. He's going to be getting his roaches up. He's getting Zergling speed, +1 range attack, as well as Glial reconstruction. So he's doing all the right things. He just doesn't have all the drones. And here come the DTs getting into the third. Kind of foolishly going for the hatchery. They might be able to... Actually, yeah, they should be able to pick it off, I think, because DTs just hit so hard.
Yeah, 3 Overseers are on their way, though. So even if this hatchery goes down, it's not the worst case scenario for Mad. Unless, of course, he manages to lose his natural, too. An Overseer's done, and it's kind of running away from a DT.
Ooh, that's not good.
That didn't make that much. Yeah, that didn't make much sense to me. However, it's now going to get scouted, and the first DT is going to fall. The next 2 are running away for their lives. They're probably going to escape with them and maybe form up an Archon and just be, kind of a heavy-hitting unit in the back.
Yeah.
And how many workers did he actually manage to kill there? 13. That's pretty reasonable damage for DTs. However, it's not an excessive amount of damage. He put himself 3 workers ahead as of right now, and that's still not a huge amount.
I'd say,
especially versus a Zerg player.
I want to say that it is hugely worth it, and here's why. He picked off his third, and yes, he only got 13 drones killed, but he picked off the third, which is huge because IMAD can't build anything or can't mine anything from that base for a while. And in the meantime, he's getting up a third of his own. Also, because he went DTs, he can now morph Archons, and Archons are actually going to be very good against these roaches, as they'll be able to tank a lot of the damage while the Stalkers are dealing the damage. And so I actually really like this DT play. DTs are actually the cheapest way to get Archons. You pick off a hatchery, you might not pick off a hatchery. Either way, you kind of scare your opponent, and now IMAD isn't moving out, whereas before he was kind of gearing up to do a roach push.
Yeah, and it would appear that the robotics facility and the Stargate were both on the way for Sonnet. However, the Sacrificial Overlord is going to scout both of them because they're both kind of placed, right next to the warp gates. So not the best positioning there. I actually like to spread out the attack a little bit. Maybe have the robotics facility right next to the warp gates, but then put your Stargate in the back of your natural. So that's a bit stealthier. Yeah. And it looks like Mad was not really delayed all that much. He was delayed a little bit, but he's now making a massive roach push, and it is scouted by a DT. I'm not sure if the entirety of it was scouted by a DT. However, this is going to be pretty scary. A Void Ray is popping out, and Void Rays are, of course, very fantastic against roaches, along with its immortal buddy. However, I'm not sure if this is enough roaches.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a lot of stalkers are on the field. Also, he has those cannons there as well. Kind of getting into an interesting positioning right now. I don't know if I agree with it, but it looks like he should be able to hold this off.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that Senate backed up that much. I would have expected him to just hold his line, because at that point the roaches would have had an awful arc, and every roach is going to lose its life here. That's not exactly what you want to do at this point in the game. Mad is completely reproducing his roaches though, however he just doesn't have the larva to do it, because he's been missing quite a few larva injects. In fact, he's missing all of his larva injects right now. He just finally put one of them back on.
Another thing I'd like to make note of is that in that fight, the Stalkers are at 2 attack upgrade, while the Roaches were only at 1 attack upgrade, and that made a huge difference in the fight. If I'm Mad 'Cause You Bad had that +1, and those Stalkers had not had any upgrades, he actually would have been in a whole lot of trouble there. He would have been able to kill out a lot more of those Stalkers, but because Senhet, however you say his name, was good about keeping his upgrades up and keeping his production up, he was able to hold that off just fine. So even the little positioning mishap, he made up with it. He made up for it by having good decisions.
Yeah, and it actually looks like there might be some odd positioning. All of the roaches are moving down to defend this little tiny zealot attack. However, the main force from the Protoss army is stepping into the natural, and this is going to be kind of awkward for the Zerg to hold off. However, at the same time, the Protoss army is backing up. It's going to clear off these destructible debris.
Wants to get a better positioning. Interestingly, a Void Ray was up in the main, poking and prodding, I think. Wait, where's that Void Ray?
It's with the main base. It's with the main army now. That's 2 kills. I'm guessing both of those kills were Overlords.
Okay. Yeah, I think that he kind of baited Mad's army up into the natural, and if he had a sentry, it would have been so cool to see him push forward, force field the ramp, and then just, you know, he could have taken everything right there.
Oh yeah, that would have been game over if he had managed to like get a sentry, force field the ramp, and then maybe build a couple more, and just like get the force field cycle on the ramp going, because then it would have, like, Mad wouldn't have really been able to do anything about it. However, with an interesting choice of units, Sandhead is just not building any sentries at all.
Yeah, it would be really nice, because the Void Rays are essentially useless right now. There are plenty of Hydralisks on the map. They, I think, have grooved spines. I would imagine that any player getting Hydralisk would immediately get... No, they actually do not, which is a poor decision on Mad's choice. But the Void Rays kind of get shut down due to these Hydralisks. The one advantage they do have is allowing for good positioning, and he could have forced that if he had had a sentry, and he, you know, poked up with the Void Rays into the main, baited the army up into the main, and then got him caught off guard.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off right there, because it would appear that there's going to be a massive engagement right here with the Zerg player setting up not the best positioning. His Hydras are actually not at all behind his Roaches, but the High Templar just walking right into the fire of the opposing force. Now, of course, those High Templar wouldn't have done a whole lot anyway. However, it looks like the Protoss this is going to be kind of almost a stalemate. It looks like the Protoss is going to hold it off for the most part. However, he's going to lose a lot of units in the process.
Yeah, the Protoss player was definitely in the advantage there, because he does have the upgrade advantage. He has the advantage of being at home and being able to continue warping in units. The positioning could have been better, however, Mad was able to get off some good picks with those Hydralisks being there. He was able to get off those 2 High Templar, like you said, as well as one of the Void Rays were completely caught off guard. But Senhat is looking good, man. I mean, he's kept up his third, and one of the things about Daybreak is that a Zerg player should constantly be trying to shut down a Protoss player's third. You do not want to let him have a third and keep it. And attacking the natural like that, I don't agree with. I think he should have gone for that third base, because if by some chance he had been able to win and kill that army off, he would have been able to do a lot more damage killing off the natural than trying to pick off these buildings at the, picking off the third, then trying to kill off these buildings at the natural, and then finally getting to the Nexus.
I'm actually not sure about that. Because if you do hit the natural, I actually don't think that you should be trying to kill the Nexus at the natural. You should dive right up into the Protoss's main base and try to shut down his Warp Gate production. Because as soon as you get his production down, it's
That's
game
true
over.
if you can. However, in that situation, I don't think he would have had enough to really like made a difference getting up into the natural.
Yeah, but even just sniping off those 3 pylons, he would have powered down 3 warp gates in both the robotics facility and
that's
the
true.
Stargate,
It looks like right now a really
is...
bad positioning by Sinhat. Luckily, some zealots get up into the mix and some nice storms go down. However, there are a lot of roaches on the field for Mad, and he will be able to pick off this army. 2 Immortals going to be going down here pretty shortly. Luckily, there is a Void Ray to stop everything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well this is going to go over, because even with that Void Ray, there's still not that much army left for Senhat. There's 3 Templar, but none of them have storms, and they're not going to have storms for quite a while. And other than that, it's basically just an Immortal is his entire army there. He's building 1 Archon, and he's warping in plenty of Zealots, so he'll be able to hold this off. However, he's going to lose a whole lot in the process. A storm is almost ready, and oh, the High Templar gets sniped right before it can storm.
Very nice snipe by Mad. He is going to be trying to get up into this 4th, revealing the 4th to him. However, there are a lot of cannons there, kind of scaring him. I think he probably could have tanked them, but deciding not to.
Yeah, and the Void Ray is swooping down a little bit. There's a Void Ray being kind of annoying, just harassing the roaches right here at the, I guess I would call it the 5th base?
5th or 6th, depending on whether you take that center one. Interestingly, we see a lot of Corruptors out on the map for IMAD. Looks like he wants to be going for that Greater Spire, probably. I can't find it right now. Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
he actually already has it.
And so he will be able to take out this Void Ray once and for all, and then he'll probably start thinking about morphing in some Broodlords here in a while.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with going for Broodlords, because there are Colossi on the way for his opponent, and there's also a lot of Zealots, and Broodlords are actually fantastic against Zealots.
Not shoot up. It looks like he wants to be trying to take out the 3rd at this time, but he does see that there are too many Zealots to deal with at that time, so he will be running away.
And, you know, he's killing some traitorous units. He put them in front of the firing squad. Very standard.
Yeah, he's sending some Zerglings up to this 4th base. He will be able to pick off one of these cannons, maybe a second. But I doubt he'll get much more, as Team Berserker's player has gotten up here with the Zealots and picked off the rest of the Zerglings.
This seems like a bit of overkill as far as Zealots go. And we have 6 Broodlords warping in. I actually don't agree with morphing all of his Corruptors into Broodlords, because he needs at least 1 Corruptor to snipe off this Void Ray. Probably more to kill. I don't think a Void Ray can, or I don't think a Corruptor can kill a Void Ray 1v1. However, he's gonna do a heck of a lot of damage to the ground army. And actually, I'm not sure how he's deciding to do this. It looks like he's just using his roaches as kind of a rear guard for these. No, it looks like he's just trying to bum rush the 3rd base.
It looks like he is. The roaches doing work to these Zealots. There are just so many of them. Colossus is coming in at this time. Some nice storms going down on top of the Broodlords as well as the roaches. But man, this is not good for Sinhat, as he did just lose everything.
Yeah, his army was kind of just decimated there. It really had no good positioning at all. I'm not sure why he's still working in Zealots. I guess I think he's waiting for this Void Ray to kill off all of the Broodlords, and then he's going to go right back on to warping in Stalkers. Actually, no, he's just going to keep warping in Zealots.
The Void Ray doesn't really matter at this time. The Broodlords don't matter either. They're going to kill things too slowly and move too slowly. They just allowed the roaches to win the fight, and now he can go in and pick off this Nexus. Actually just sniping it directly. Then he'll kill the cannons.
Yeah, that's gonna be the last of the actual mining bases for Senhet for quite a while, and Senhet does not really have the bank to allow that to happen. He's only at 800. It looks like he's gonna hold off the rest of this attack. However, there's gonna be a massive rebuilding of the army for Mad, and Mad kind of played this off almost amazingly well after having, I would call it, a sloppy first half of the game.
Yeah, he definitely had a lot of blunders. However, he's managed to stay solid since then, and he's gotten up his 5th base now. It's not saturated yet, but it can be very quickly, and He should be fine. I mean, it's good. The 5th base is going to be picked off, but at this point, if we look at the income tab, he's just miles ahead of his opponent.
Oh yeah, he is like 5 times in both categories. He's doing absolutely fantastic. And this last engagement, I'm not sure. Senhead is basically going to lose it. Actually, these DTs are kind of doing work, and there's no detection.
Yeah, that
in
is
Mad's
really
army.
annoying for Mad. He's going to be pulling everything back because of the DTs, and he'll probably just rally up with an Overseer. Indeed, he has found it. And
Yep.
yeah, the DTs are shut down now, and they're basically worthless at this point.
Yeah, and Senhead, he just doesn't have any money at all. He does have his 3rd base back up, and he's going to be sending units up there to mine. However, you know, it's going to take him probably 2 minutes to actually start, you know, building units again. And, you know, I don't think Mad is going to give him that 2 minutes. I think Mad's just going to push and win the game.
Well, a nice little probe snake running up the center of the map right now. This is very cool. You should check it out. Going to that 4th base.
I'm checking it out.
But yeah, it's at this point the game is essentially over. As long as Mad doesn't make any like really crazy awful mistakes, then he should have this in the bag.
Oh, it looks like he's gonna catch those probes, maybe. Yeah, they're like, shh, everybody be very quiet. And it would appear that they were not quite quiet enough. Oh, that was a massacre.
If we look at probes lost, 32, which isn't actually that big.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it would appear that all the probes are getting pulled off the line. They are running into the storms quite sacrificially. These corruptors, realizing how useless they're really going to be in this coming engagement, are trying to corrupt up the stalkers and just distract them a little bit. And the Zerg army got surprisingly decimated.
Really good storms, and the probes being heroes in that fight. At this point, though, I mean,
DT's sniping.
Oh, wow, nice play. I don't know.
How did neither of us pick up on that? I don't think that's I don't think that's enough to really stop his, you know, loss here. However, that's
impressive.
That's quite huge.
As the income for, oh wow, the income for Mad shot down dramatically after that.
Yeah. Well, plus he mined out his 3rd, and he's basically mined out his natural. But with Broodlords, I don't see this happening, and there Senhet calls the GG, and that will be game over. Well played for both players. That was pretty awesome. That was a great
Congratulations,
game.
Mad, for taking another win for Team Crafty. Senhat, a very valiant try, but Team Berserker, you're gonna have to bring up something to beat Mad, or else it's not looking good for this match. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the video here, and we will see you guys in game number 3.